Hello, I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta, and this is your weekly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. It was summit time in the home of ASEAN chair, Laos. And for 3 days from September 6th, global leaders met for the first time since the creation of a regional economic community. A total of 12 related summits were held with key dialogue countries such as China, Russia, Japan, South Korea, and the United States. ASEAN leaders signed a declaration promising to respond to disasters as one in and out of the region. They also looked towards implementing the ASEAN Economic Vision 2025.
พวกเขานะครับพ้องเอาหรือรับทราบหลายข้อเรียกและแถลงการณ์ของ3 สำคัญสหภาพอาเซียนและข้อการร่วมมือระหว่างอาเซียนกับผู้เจรจารวมทั้งหมด57 ฉบับ
At the closing ceremony, Laos handed over chairmanship to the Philippines. Myanmar was hit by a powerful earthquake that destroyed historic sites and an ancient city. The 6.8 magnitude earthquake on August 24th also killed 4 people in Bagan. Nearly 200 brick temples in central Myanmar were damaged. The tremor was centered 25 kilometers west of Chok, just south of Bagan. The area is one of Myanmar's top tourist attractions, drawing visitors from around the world. 2 bombs exploded near a hotel in southern Thailand, killing 1 person and wounding 29 others. The explosions on August 23rd occurred in Patani, one of the biggest towns in the region where Muslim separatists have waged an insurgency since 2004. This was following a series of explosions 2 weeks earlier that killed 4 people and left dozens hurt, including 11 foreigners. Thailand's Prime Minister went live after the coordinated attacks.
นับเป็นการกระทำที่ทำร้ายจิตใจคนไทยทั้งประเทศอย่างที่สุดซึ่งเหตุการณ์ครั้งนี้จะช่วยเป็นเครื่องย้ำเตือนจิตใจของคนไทยอยู่เสมอและแสดงให้เห็นว่ายังมีคนไม่ดีอยู่ในสังคมไทยและประเทศไทย
It was the 4th incident this year in Thailand's southern region, the only Muslim area in the Buddhist majority country. Analysts say the violence could be tied to the outcome of a vote on a new Thai constitution. Voters overwhelmingly approved the document on August 7th, one that shifts significant authority away from elected representatives. Thailand has endured 13 successful military coups and 11 attempted takeovers since it replaced an absolute monarchy with a constitutional one in 1932. This is Thailand's 20th constitution. The Prime Minister promises democratic elections late next year or early 2018. The ASEAN region was represented well at the 2016 Olympic Games in Brazil. Southeast Asian athletes combined for a record-breaking performance in the Summer Games with 18 medals, 5 golds, 10 silvers and 3 bronze, thus surpassing the previous best showing of 12 medals at the 2004 Games in Athens. Among the countries winning gold for the first time, Singapore in swimming and Vietnam in shooting. Thousands of people filled the streets of Hanoi to celebrate an annual Gay Pride parade and rally for human rights. The August 21st event had colorful outfits and rainbow flags with chanting participants on bicycles and motorbikes. Vietnam is seeing positive changes in LGBT rights. The government last year approved legislation to make it possible for transgender people to change their genders on ID cards and legalize sex reassignment operations. But gay marriage is still not allowed. The growing popularity of ordering food online is cooking up the competition in Singapore. What's helping fuel the industry is the simultaneous rise of online transportation. Many restaurants have worked with online tools for food delivery to satisfy customers' demands of delivering food to their doors. Wingstop is one of them, which works with Food Panda to achieve win-win results. Launched in 2012, Food Panda says it has grown by 400% year-on-year.
We believe in bringing this 98% of Asia that's not ordering food online into the online space, and of course that means that we have to bring them the food that they're used to enjoying in an offline way. We have to be able to bring that to them online.
But the huge potential market demands also attracted new competitors, all vying for a slice of the cake.
With all of these services, the amount of funding that you have is important, and Uber, in terms of scale, they completely outrank anyone. So if you look at Uber, it's got $12 billion in funding. Food Panda's got 300 million, and they're in 40 countries, so they've got to spread that out. and Deliveroo has got 200 million. So there's a huge difference in terms of their scale. So their ability to invest, their ability to sort of promote and market the service would be much higher.
In May, Uber launched its own Uber Eats delivery service in Singapore. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. We talk with ASEAN's top diplomat on the progress of economic integration and the South China Sea. You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Raisa Chantami in Jakarta. The first year of ASEAN's long-awaited economic integration is more than halfway over. There has been success and frustration. ASEAN Today's Dalton Tananaka talked with ASEAN Secretary General Leluang Min on the progress of the AEC, but began with the recent international ruling on the territorial conflict in the South China Sea.
ASEAN does not take side on this bilateral, the China, the Philippines case. But if we look at what we have in the ASEAN position, reflected in its six-point principle that ASEAN adopted back in 2012, then what is there in the ruling by the Permanent Arbitration Court only reaffirms the legitimacy of ASEAN's position.
AEC, let's get to that, the first year of its enactment. So what can you point to as the most progress you've made so far?
Following the virtual elimination of tariffs, ASEAN is now placing renewed emphasis on the trade facilitation and private sector engagement to support the realization of a single market and production base. And under the Lao chairmanship of 2016, ASEAN has also been working toward the successful achievement of the AEC prioritized deliverables on trade facilitation, on food safety, and the development of micro, small, and medium enterprises through access to finance, among the many other elements. And with all 10 ASEAN countries having ratified the ASEAN Open Skies Agreement. However, the ASEAN region, is integrating in an uncertain global context, which is influenced by the global megatrends, and political commitment from the member states are very important, crucial in ratification of the ASEAN agreements.
Are you saying there's some frustration in the speed of the integration, or?
On the other hand, ASEAN has achieved many, regional agreements across, the sectors. On the other hand, we see that the pace of ratification of those regional commitments is still, quite modest. And that's due to the divergences in the national legal systems, and very often, for the lack of the very physical capacity for them to do so.
So you wish progress was made faster, but you're not surprised by the speed of how it's happening, correct?
Yes, I have always, emphasized the importance of overcoming this critical challenge, as we are, intensifying, effort to achieve the objective of the AEC.
Okay. Sir, you mentioned several sectors that are having successes in liberalizing, such as open skies and others. What are the bright spots? What sectors are driving new economic growth that you can point out to?
The ASEAN economic integration is a comprehensive process involving all sectors of the ASEAN economies. However, we do recognize that there are sectors that are critical to the community's overall competitiveness, and namely those sectors related to economic connectivity, and that in turn are critical to a world where international production sharing becomes more dominant and the economies are more digitized. The services sector, for example, has increasingly become a growth driver in the ASEAN, would constitute more than 50% of the overall, the total output in 2015. And the sector also attracted a substantial amount of FDIs into the region. For example, in 2015, it accounted for the largest share of FDI inflows into the region. It was at 62.5%. And the service sector, especially services such as communication, finance, business, and information services.
In part 2 of this conversation next month, Mint discusses possible new membership in ASEAN and the group's upcoming 50-year anniversary. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. The story of a Chinese admiral who sailed into Indonesian history and hearts. This is ASEAN Today, coming to you from the home of the ASEAN Secretariat. It was once exclusively performed for Cambodian royalty. Now Apsara dancing is enjoyed by all across the country. But as the art form becomes more public, purists fear the sacred dance is being degraded. ASEAN Today's Wendy Widiantini has the story.
Apsara in Cambodia dates back at least a million to Angkorian times, as evidenced by several thousand apsaras carved on bas-reliefs on Angkor temples. Roughly translated as celestial nymph in Hindu and Buddhist mythology, their sacred function was to communicate between gods and mortals. Skilled in the art of dancing, they are said to have seduced gods and men in royal palaces from India to Indonesia. Before the late King Sihanouk introduced it to the public in 1960s, few Cambodians had ever seen Apsara dancing. Today, it's a fairly common sight as public can see the performances in many places, such as at the National Museum in Phnom Penh. Ticket costs $13.50 for adults and $6 for children for a 1-hour show featuring a variety of traditional dances, including Apsara. Shows are staged 6 nights a week by Cambodian Living Arts, a non-profit organization focusing on Cambodian arts. These performers are mostly from poor background. They earn just $80 per month dancing for tourists, which means most have to find second jobs to make ends meet.
នៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំបានសម្ដែងនៅទល់មុខភ្ញៀវបរទេសច្រើនខ្ញុំមានអារម្មណ៍ថាសប្បាយនិងរំភើបទីហើយមួយទៀតគឺដែលបានចែករំលែកបទពិសោធន៍ខ្លួនឯងនិងវប្បធម៌ខ្លួនឯងទៅភ្ញៀវបរទេសហើយនឹងបានផ្ដល់ចំណេះដឹងដែលឲ្យបរទេសបានដឹងថាវប្បធម៌ខ្មែរមានច្រើនហើយក៏មិនចាញ់បរទេសដែរ
The purity and quality of the highly trained royal troupe of Apsaras is something that sacred dancers of Angkor are hoping to replicate and preserve. The sacred dancers were established in 2007 by Swiss-Cambodian Ravin Karat Koksin, who studied Apsara under King Sihanouk during the 1960s.
សម្ដែងតែចំពោះកន្លែងដែលគេស្រឡាញ់ដែលគេយល់ពីវប្បធម៌គឺមិនមែនសម្ដែងដើម្បីទទួលបានលុយហើយកន្លែងដែលមានការហូបចុកឬក៏ផឹកស្រាឬក៏អីហ្នឹងគឺមិនអាចទទួលសម្ដែងបានទេមូលហេតុដែលខ្ញុំសម្រេចចិត្តចូលជាអ្នកសិល្បៈមកខ្ញុំមានអារម្មណ៍ថាស្រឡាញ់រូបអប្សរាខ្លាំងមែនទែនហើយបេះដូងខ្ញុំនិងខ្លួនប្រាណខ្ញុំបានដាក់ចិត្តកាយវឹកហាត់ប្រឹងប្រែងរៀនទោះបីតែវាពិបាកខ្លាំងប៉ុណ្ណាក៏ដោយតែរូបនាងខ្ញុំនៅតែមិនបោះបង់ការតស៊ូខិតខំប្រឹងប្រែងរបស់រូបនាងខ្ញុំទេ
With scarcity of public performances, a lack of funds is a big problem. The performers' low wages is decimating their ranks. Almost half of the trained dancers have been forced to move away to Thailand and elsewhere to find employment. Wendy Widiantini for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. The 3-Bangkok Long and Individual Race Series is set to run at the Bangpoo Golf and Country Club in Samut Prakan on October 9th. Canadian pop sensation Shawn Mendes will be live at the Asia Arena Mall in Manila on October 26th. And MotoGP 2016 will roll at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia from October 28th to the 30th. Indonesia's Chinese community celebrated the legacy of a 600-year-old symbol of ties with the native population. ASEAN Today's Fauzal Azim reports.
It has been over 600 years since Admiral Cheng Ho from China's Ming Dynasty began his expeditions to explore Southeast Asia. But even today, he is known as a symbol of strength between the Chinese and local residents on the Indonesian island of Java. Cheng Ho, also known as San Bao, an important part of Chinese history in Indonesia, especially in Semarang, where its oldest Chinese temple, Sam Po Kong, named after him. Recently, the provincial government of Central Java, in collaboration with the leaders of Tai Kak Si Temple, Sam Po Kong Temple, and the Chinese community, staged the Cheng Ho Cultural Festival.
Jalur perdagangan atau jalur Cheng Ho ini mesti kita angkat kembali sebagai satu ikon untuk menarik dalam bentuk memori kolektif yang kita bisa ambil bahwa hubungan kita dengan China.
The festival began at Sam Po Kong, the exact place where Admiral Cheng Ho prayed, meditated, and spread his message of peace to the Indonesian people hundreds of years ago. To this day, the temple remains an essential site that represents the rich culture and community that Cheng Ho brought to life back in the 15th century. Now tourists from all around the world gather at the temple to catch a glimpse of the past.
I'm studying Chinese in Poland. That's why I want to see how look Chinese culture in other countries. That's why I came here with my friends to see the temples, and it's really beautiful.
People are enjoying themselves and people are gathering all over the places, and they're having fun. And I guess that's really what it is about. Like, you bring the culture to the people and letting them experience it.
The historical relationship continues to flourish to this day. Indonesia's tourism ministry created the Cheng Ho Sea Route tour packages last year. Inspired by the Admiral's 7 voyages through Indonesian waters starting in 1405. Foreign arrivals have since increased by nearly 2%, indicating that his ancient legacy remains an important part in building a promising future for Indonesia's tourism industry. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can't find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking about or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at @ASEANTodayTV. ASEAN's 49th birthday was celebrated in a delicious way in the group's Jakarta headquarters. A food festival was held at ASEAN Day ceremonies on August 8th, spotlighting the favorite dishes of member states. They included these items from Cambodia, Brunei, and Indonesia.
And my big weakness here is ice champur. It's crazy, but on a hot day, ice champur especially with fruit and avocado, it's the best thing.
And we are here together celebrating with the 10 member states of ASEAN and all the dialogue partners in a very happy and eventful day.
Visitors also enjoyed cultural performances throughout the day. And that's ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Marisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Terima kasih. Please join us again next time.